Hello, my name's Chris and I'm the editor of MacFormat. Now our review editor Ian is just back from London where he's been picking up some of the kit that Apple announced a couple of days ago at its WWDC conference in San Francisco. And here is the two bits of kit that we've got from Apple. We have the new Time Capsule and we have the new 11-inch MacBook Air. Obviously the Mac Pro, which is the thing that we're all most excited about, this new design for Apple's professional powerful Mac, is not out until later in the year, so we don't have that yet. Now, the Time Capsule is an odd shape. If you know the Time Capsule, it's normally low and wide like a Mac Mini. But here, it's tall, totemic if you will. It looks a little bit 2001-like, doesn't it? Sort of like we should be banging human bones while we worship it. But the reason for that, there is a reason for this design, and it's that by being tall, Apple tells us, and we haven't tested this yet, that it aids range, it aids Wi-Fi range and performance. Now also, as well as being this new shape, it also is certified for the new flavour of Wi-Fi, 802.11ac, which is faster. Not much supports 802.11ac yet, but the newest range of Macs do. Now, on the back, it's not that much different to what we are used to. There's 3 Ethernet ports, a USB port for plugging in hard disks and printers for sharing, and your WAN port, so you plug that into your internet connection to share that out. Apple still isn't putting they're not putting modems inside their routers yet. Design-wise, it's quite an odd looking thing, but having sort of toyed at it and sort of ruminated a bit, I think we all like it at MacFormat. There's a couple of little design touches that are quite unusual. If I put this back down on this table here, it's actually quite low friction. So I can spin it quite easily. It's a peculiar thing, but it makes sense if you think about it, because if you've got it like this and you want to plug something in, it spins easily. It's a bit like the low friction strip that's on the bottom of the iMac foot. But here's an interesting thing that we haven't noticed anywhere else before. Apple's done a new styling here. It's got a black Apple right on top. We've never seen that as a design touch from Apple before. Normally it would just be white plastic, debossed slightly into the top, or a shiny thing, as we have on the bottom. So on the bottom we've got this black with this debossed design cut away, going from matte to glossy plastic. Anyway, that's the new Time Capsule. It comes in 2TB and 3TB capacities. It looks exactly like the new Airport Extreme. It's actually quite heavy, this. It's quite a chunky thing, and that's because it's got a 3.5-inch hard drive inside it. The Airport Extreme, according to a teardown by iFixit, is exactly the same. It's got a huge big void in the middle of it where the hard disk goes in the case of this Time Capsule, but you can't just slot in a hard disk, unfortunately, because it doesn't have the SATA connectors. Now when it comes to the MacBook Air, it's not a terribly exciting thing to look at, only in as much as it's no different to the existing MacBook Airs. So it's a very pretty thing, it's very slim, it's very light, opens with a single finger, but nothing really has changed in the design of it. What has changed is the guts. So the Intel chips that Apple's now using for the MacBook Air are the new chips codenamed Haswell. Now, with the Haswell chips that Apple has in here, we're not expecting to see much of a performance boost in CPU terms, although the GPU is much meatier, so it'll be a little bit better for gaming and graphics. But the CPU is actually clocked, I think, slightly lower, and yet you get similar performance. So why do we care if these new CPUs don't produce faster results? Well, we care because they're incredibly power efficient. Apple claims that you'll get 9 hours of battery life from single charge on this 11-inch MacBook Air. Now obviously 9 hours is enough for a full day's work. And we can usually trust Apple's battery figures. They're usually good real-world tests. And in fact, it's usually the case that we can usually eke out a bit more time than what Apple quotes. With a 13-inch MacBook Air, obviously a bit more space for a battery, and you can get 12 hours of battery life from that. If you look at the teardowns that iFixit's done on these, it's hilarious because the processor strip, what you think of as the insides of the computer, is this tiny narrow little strip at the top. The entire inside of this is taken up with battery. And we think that's actually the right decision to make. Now we know it's a bit disappointing that Apple hasn't put a Retina display, a nice high resolution display into these, but if they had, you definitely wouldn't get that kind of battery life from these devices. So, all in all, it's probably the right balance, but doesn't stop us being disappointed. There you go, we'll have full reviews of the 11-inch MacBook Air and the Time Capsule in another issue of MacFormat coming up soon. But until the next time, see you around.